Hey, we're Too Much Sense.
And we're gonna take you on a video tour of our studio.
Hi, Mom. Oh, hey guys, what's up? My name's Blaine, and I'm gonna show you guys a little bit about my drum set here on the studio tour. First, we're gonna start off with my cymbals. I play with all Sabian cymbals except for my Zildjian hi-hat and my pasty ride. I like the fat hi-hat sound of Zildjian because it's like one of a kind. I got a 13-inch with a rivet bottom, a custom master sound. It hasn't steered me wrong since. It's been one of the best hi-hats I've ever used. And my pasty ride, it carries the tune, and each section of the cymbal that you hit has a different sound. You can get a real bright sound or a real hissy sound the more you go up right into the bell. And all my other cymbals are Sabian cymbals. And they're all AA all the way around, and then I got a Zil bell. Let's see here, effects. For effects, I've got a tambourine, kind of hangs off the hi-hat. So every time I'm hitting the hi-hat or rocking the hi-hat, it's still got a little bit of sound of the tambourine to it. So it's not just all-out hi-hat, it's kind of a mixed sound between both because it's connected to it. And then I got a little 12-inch popcorn tom and a 12-inch regular tom that goes down to 16. And on top of all of my toms, I've got sound-off rings. And all these rings do is pretty much make the noise muffled and the tone perfect, so you don't have to do a lot of tuning. They kind of do all the work for you. You just stick them right on there and perfect tone every time. I've got a cowbell that I don't really use that much except for one of the last videos we did. We'll go back down to my bass drum here. Bass drum, I've pretty much took all the sound out of it except for what you hear that goes straight from the beater head to the front head. I took studio foam and I wrapped the whole inside of it with studio foam. It's like an eggshell foam that a lot of people put on their beds and whatnot. And I wrapped the whole inside of it with it to give it more of a muffled bass hit. And for mics, for a bass drum mic, I use a CAD. It's a KM212. And it really gets the job done. A lot of my bass drums triggered, so it doesn't really use the actual sound of the bass drum. It's more of a professional way of recording. And this mic really does the job for it. Even if I'm playing live or if I'm playing out somewhere, it'll still pick up all the good solid bass notes. We'll go to the overhead mics. I got two overhead mics, and they really just focus on the cymbals. This one's mainly on the ride cymbal because the crashes kind of do their own job getting all around the room. And this one's focused on the ride. It's pointed straight down, so all of my little hits and bell hits and ride effects get picked up by this cymbal, or this overhead. This one over here is focused on my hi-hat. So when I'm doing my closed hi-hat, paradiddles and whatnot, this one's picked up by this mic. And then each individual tom has its own mic, including the snare. The snare, we recently just put a mic on the bottom of the snare. I don't know if you can see it. It's down here. We got a mic to the bottom that collects the big fat noise of the snare, and then we got a mic on the top that gets all the stick movement and all the stick control and the little ghost notes. That one picks up this one, so them two combined together in the actual end of the mastering makes the snare sound really good and fat. Yeah, and these mics are TM211s, and they really get the job done. A lot of people have been teaching me different techniques and ways of miking the snare. And the most efficient way I found is on the top, you shoot the mic across the snare, more of straight down like we do the toms. You see the toms, they go straight out and down onto the toms, so they don't pick up all this noise. But since there's nothing really behind the snare, it's just picking up me and the snare, so it's getting the whole sound of the top of the snare. And the bottom basically does the same deal, just a little bit closer. And this tom doesn't really get used that much, but when I do, this mic picks it up. It's a MXL. It's more like a condenser mic, and it just picks up the noise for this, and it gets the job done. But I don't really use it that much because I don't really need that deep of a tone on a tom. I can do what I need to on the two up top, including the small one in the front. The last part of my drum set would be the Gibraltar drum rack, and it basically holds everything you see here. The whole entire drum set is held by this whole rack system, and it's got two big legs on the side that kind of hold it in place, and it makes it a a lot easier for drummers to move their drum set in and out of places and set it up. It's got all these little memory blocks and everything to keep everything exactly where it was the first time you had it, so when you take it down and set it up, it's exactly the same. Nothing really changes. The only thing that's on the ground right now that's on my drum set is my bass drum and both my toms. Everything else is held up by the drum rack, and that's about it. The mic stands and whatnot, but who doesn't have some of those? So that's my drum set. Thanks for watching.
Mom, I'll clean my room in a second! Oh hey guys, it's Dave with David Stilson Music and Too Much Sense. I've been asked by videoSongsBlog to do a studio tour, so I want to take you guys out and show you what we're doing out there with our gear. Come on out. So yeah, I'm going to show you some of the gear that we use to record with. I'm going to start with the lighting actually, because one of the things that makes a video really good is having great lighting. So what we did is we went out and bought, if you want to show them, these can lights from like Home Depot or Lowe's. They're the clip-on lights. They're like $8 a piece, and we actually diffuse it with wax paper. You can duct tape wax paper on there, and it makes the light less harsh. It makes it more of a soft glow than a light. And we use daylight bulbs, a combination of daylight bulbs and soft white bulbs like CFL. Energy saver bulbs. Microphone. This is the workhorse of our studio. It is a Bluebird condenser mic. It does take phantom power. I love this microphone. It has a really nice crisp sound. I really haven't been able to find anything that beats it for the price. Currently these are going for around $200. When I got it, it was around $500. So for a mic under $250, $200, if you're just starting out with a studio, you really can't beat this microphone. It does a great job, has an awesome sound for instruments, vocals. I've mic'd guitar amps with it. It's really good all around. You could even use this mic as a drum head overhead mic. So yeah, great microphone, Bluebird microphone. I'm gonna move on to my guitars. One of the guitars I use sometimes, not really that often, is the Yamaha silent string acoustic guitar. I use this guitar when I want to do things with like a voice box or a vocoder, but I don't want to hear the guitar in the microphone. It's a great little guitar. It has a great sound, but when you're recording it, the only option you have with it is line in, and it really doesn't sound that great with just a line out of this guitar. It's a great guitar live because it has no feedback, but in the recording studio it has pretty limited use. The next guitar I have is an oldie but a goodie. It's actually the first guitar my dad gave me. It was a Washburn KC-20V. We replaced some of the pickups in it. I can't remember exactly what pickup we put in it, but it's got upgraded hardware as far as that goes. I use this guitar for like rock sounds, distortion, heavier sounding stuff, because it just has an awesome crunch to it.
This is Halloween, this is Halloween.
Next guitar in the rack is the Fender Telecaster. This is an American Telecaster. I got this a couple years ago. It's just an American standard telly. Regular old red telly. I use this for solos sometimes, or if we're not doing like a hard rock song, if we're doing like an alternative rock type thing. I can get really cool, nice, soft sounds and warm tones out of this guitar. I really like it a lot. Bass guitar, I have a Fender Jaguar bass. Actually it's a Squire, made by Fender. But I just picked it up at Guitar Center one day. It was a cheap guitar, I needed a new bass, so it does a pretty good job. I like it a lot. And that's pretty much all there is about the bass. Amplifiers. We'll start at the top and work my way down. This is a Fender Blues Junior. It's got a Jensen speaker in it. And it's a Foley tube amp. It's only 15 watts, but it packs a mean punch. I mean, it's got an awesome distortion sound. I use this on pretty much everything where I'm doing just straight up rock guitar. Sometimes I'll pull it out for a solo. It has no built-in effects except for the spring reverb inside. But it's just a great little tube amp, a low power amp. I don't have to blast it to get really good sound out of it. So I love having this amp. The next amp down I use when I want to get some effects, delays, and different things. It's a Fender Cyber Twin, which is actually an emulation amp. This amp emulates hundreds and hundreds of different amplifiers, and it does a pretty good job. I used it pretty much line out because I don't use a lot of distortion on this amp. It's got a preamp tube in it, but it's not a very good sounding one, so I always revert back to the Blues Junior when I do distortion stuff. But this has a great warm sound for clean, delay-driven effects. It's got a lot of built-in effects that are really nice to use, and I get some interesting sounds out of the guitar. I'll go ahead and move over to the interface. Actually, on our way down to the interface, we've got the studio monitors. Yeah, I use the BX8As. They have a great overall sound. For the MIDI controller that I use is just a regular M-Audio 88ES. Moving on down, I'll show you the interface that we use. We use the PreSonus Fire Studio Project. It's got 8 inputs, which is perfect for miking our drum set. And it's really nice because you can do individual headphone mixes, like 4 different mixes for 4 different musicians. If you wanted to have 4 different people jamming at one time, they can all hear their own mix. The only other thing we have is this headphone amp, which splits out the headphone signal.
We're gonna switch cameras right now. We're gonna show you the camera.
Alright, so this is the camera we use. It's a Canon Rebel T2i 550D. The lens I have on it right now is not the current lens we use, but we needed to have some wide angle, so that's why I put that on. The mic on top we don't actually use for video songs. It's a Rode video mic, and it does an awesome job for doing skits and videos and stuff where you need to actually hear the audio that's coming from the camera, as opposed to where a video song you replace the audio. But it's an awesome camera, very high resolution. One last thing I forgot to mention is the acoustic guitar that you see in literally every one of our videos that I didn't go over in the tour for some reason. This is a Yamaha FGX 730 acoustic guitar. I use Elixir NanoWeb acoustic guitar strings. I use the mediums, I believe, or lights. The 12s, whatever the 12s are. It has a great sound for both plugged in and mic'd. So I like using it a lot because I can use it in a live situation, recording with multiple singers and percussion, or I can mic it for an even better sound. So that pretty much wraps up the studio tour, and I hope you guys found it informative. Alright. Mom, I'll clean my room in a second! Oh, hey guys. Dave here. With too much sense and David Stilson music.